cozy cottage in the rain. The afternoon sky has grown heavy with clouds as you make your way down the narrow country lane. The air thick with that distinctive dampness that comes just before a storm arrives. The hedgerows on either side of the path are lush and green, their leaves stirring gently in the breeze that has begun to blow across the rolling hills. And you can smell rain in the air, that clean, earthy scent that speaks of water, soon to fall and thirsty ground, waiting to receive it. Around the next bend in the lane, the cottage comes into view, and the sight of it fills you with relief and anticipation. It's a small stone building with a thatched roof that slopes down low over whitewashed walls, and climbing roses frame the dark green door despite the lateness of the season. Smoke rises from the stone chimney in a thin, steady stream, and the windows glow with warm lamplight that looks even more inviting against the darkening sky. This is exactly where you want to be as the storm approaches. This perfect little sanctuary tucked away in the countryside. The first fat drops of rain begin to fall as you reach the cottage door, splashing onto the flagstone path and releasing that wonderful petrichor smell from the warm stone. You lift the iron latch and push the door open, stepping quickly inside just as the rain begins to fall in earnest, and the door swings shut behind you with a solid, satisfying sound that seals out the weather and seals in the warmth and comfort that await you here. The cottage interior wraps around you like an embrace. All low-beamed ceilings and whitewashed walls that glow softly in the lamplight. The main room is not large, but it feels perfectly proportioned, cozy without being cramped, with everything arranged for comfort and ease. The floors are wide planks of dark wood, worn smooth by generations of footsteps, polished by time and care until they shine softly in the firelight. And they're covered here and there with woven rugs in soft, faded colors that feel pleasant beneath your feet. Their patterns worn to gentle suggestions of the flowers and leaves they once depicted clearly. To your left, a stone fireplace dominates one wall, its hearth large enough that you could stand inside it if you wished, though right now it's occupied by a fire that burns with cheerful energy. The stone surrounding the fireplace opening is darkened by centuries of smoke, creating gradients of color from pale grey at the edges to nearly black closest to the opening, a testament to the countless fires that have burned here through generations. The flames themselves are a mix of yellow and orange, dancing across logs that have been carefully stacked to burn long and steady. And the heat radiating from the fireplace reaches you even from across the room, warming your rain-damp clothes and chilled skin. Above the mantel, herbs hang drying in bunches tied with twine, their leaves gone brittle but still fragrant. You can identify lavender by its distinctive scent, and rosemary and what might be thyme or sage, their combined aromas mingling with the wood smoke to create an atmosphere that speaks of comfort and home and the simple pleasures of country living. The mantel itself is a thick beam of dark oak, its surface smooth from years of hands resting on it, and it holds a collection of small objects, a brass candlestick, a pottery bowl, a small clock with a painted face showing the time in Roman numerals. The rain is drumming on the thatched roof now with increasing intensity, a sound that's muffled by the thick layers of straw but still clearly audible, a gentle percussion that fills the cottage with its soothing rhythm. The thatch is old but well maintained, layered so thickly that no water penetrates through to the ceiling beams below, and it creates a unique quality of sound, softening the impact of each raindrop, spreading it across the broad surface so that instead of discrete impacts, you hear a continuous rushing whisper, like waves on a distant shore or wind through tall grass. Through the small windows, you can see the rain falling in sheets across the garden, turning the world outside into a blur of grey and green, where individual features dissolve into impressions and movement. The window glass is old, slightly wavy and imperfect, creating subtle distortions that make the view dreamlike and indistinct, and streams of water run down its surface in ever-changing patterns that catch and reflect the lamplight from within. The contrast between the wild weather outside and the peaceful warmth inside makes this shelter feel even more precious and secure, a bubble of comfort and safety in the midst of the storm. A large armchair sits near the fireplace, positioned to take full advantage of the heat, while also offering a view through the window to the rain-washed garden beyond. The chair is upholstered in worn floral fabric that has faded to soft pastels over the years. The pattern now barely visible, but somehow all the more charming for its age. The fabric shows shiny patches on the arms, where countless hands have rested, and the seat cushion is compressed in the middle from years of occupation, creating a gentle depression that looks perfectly shaped for settling into. Beside it stands a small round table of dark wood, its surface marked with the rings of many teacups set down without saucers, and it holds an oil lamp turned low, its flame steady and golden behind the glass chimney. On the floor next to the chair sits a wicker basket containing balls of yarn in various soft colours, cream and blue and rose, along with knitting needles and what looks like the beginning of a scarf or shawl, though you have no intention of doing anything so industrious this afternoon. The basket's presence adds to the cottage's lived-in feel, suggesting quiet evenings spent by the fire with handwork, the kind of peaceful domestic scene that feels almost impossibly far from the rush and noise of modern life. The chair looks deeply comfortable, its cushions plump and inviting despite their age, and you can already imagine sinking into it and letting the warmth of the fire and the sound of the rain lull you into perfect relaxation. But first you take a moment to explore this charming space, moving slowly through the room and taking in all the small details that make it feel so welcoming and lived in. The walls are decorated simply but thoughtfully, with framed watercolours of the surrounding countryside, their soft colours complementing the cream of the whitewashed walls. A grandfather clock stands in one corner, its pendulum swinging steadily back and forth with a quiet tick-tock that adds to the peaceful atmosphere, marking time in the unhurried way of country life. The kitchen area occupies the far end of the room, separate from the living space by a long wooden table that looks like it has served countless meals over the years, its surface bearing the marks of all that history. The table's surface is scrubbed pale and smooth from decades of cleaning, worn thin in places where elbows have rested and hands have worked, and it's marked here and there with knife cuts and burn marks, and the dark stains of spilled wine or tea, each imperfection telling a story of meals shared and work accomplished. Despite or perhaps because of all these signs of use, the table is beautiful in its simplicity. a testament to good craftsmanship and careful maintenance. And it holds a simple blue and white pottery jug filled with wildflowers whose colours appear even brighter against the worn wood. The flowers in the jug are a mix of late-season blooms and hedgerow cuttings. You can see the purple of asters, the yellow of late dandelions, and some trailing stems of ivy with their glossy green leaves. They're arranged without artifice, simply placed in the jug as they might grow in nature. And yet they bring life and colour to the table, creating a focal point that draws the eye and lifts the spirit. A few petals have fallen onto the table surface, and you notice that someone has left them there rather than sweeping them away, as if they add to rather than detract from the scene. Beyond the table you can see an old iron range, its surface gleaming despite its obvious age, the black metal polished to a soft shine that speaks of regular care and maintenance. The range is a magnificent piece of Victorian engineering, all ornate castings and polished chrome trim, with multiple ovens and hot plates and mysterious compartments, whose purposes you can only guess at. It radiates heat even from where you stand, and you can see that someone has banked a fire in its belly, keeping it ready for cooking while not burning fuel unnecessarily. The kind of careful husbandry that comes from living close to the land and respecting resources. Open shelves line the wall above a deep ceramic sink, and these shelves display a collection of mismatched china that somehow works together despite the variety of patterns and periods represented. There are floral teacups and plain white plates, a set of blue willow pattern bowls, and some earthenware jugs in warm brown tones, all of them showing the gentle wear of regular use, but still serviceable and somehow more appealing for their age and imperfection. Copper pots hang from hooks on the wall, their bottoms blackened from use but their sides gleaming where they've been polished, catching the lamplight and reflecting it in warm orange tones that complement the firelight. On the range, a large kettle sits steaming gently, its copper surface dulled by heat but still beautiful, its spout releasing delicate wisps of steam that curl and dissipate in the warm air. Beside it, you find a brown teapot waiting along with a cup and saucer, both in that same blue and white pattern that seems to be favoured in this cottage, and a small ceramic pot of honey with a wooden dipper resting across its rim. Someone has prepared for your arrival, you realise with a warm feeling of gratitude, setting out tea things and ensuring the kettle was hot, thinking ahead to what you might need after your walk through the rain, and wanting to provide comfort and welcome without fuss or ceremony. You move to make yourself a cup of tea, grateful for this small kindness and for the person who thought to offer it. The kettle is perfectly hot, steam rising steadily from its spout, and you pour the steaming water over the tea leaves that wait in the pot, watching as the clear water immediately begins to darken and the fragrant steam rises in delicate spirals that smell of bergamot and something floral, perhaps jasmine or lavender. The scent mingles with all the other smells of the cottage, the wood smoke and the rain-washed air and the dried herbs hanging above the mantel, creating an olfactory symphony that speaks of comfort and care and the simple pleasures of a warm drink on a rainy afternoon. While the tea steeps, you move to one of the windows and look out at the rain-soaked garden beyond. The cottage garden is a riot of late-season blooms and vegetables gone to seed, all of it now bowed and dripping under the steady rainfall. A stone path winds through the garden beds, and you can see where puddles are beginning to form in the low spots, reflecting the grey sky above. Birds have taken shelter in the hedgerow at the garden's edge, their small forms huddled against the rain, and you're glad to be inside, where it's warm and dry. The rain has settled into a steady rhythm now, neither increasing nor decreasing. Just a constant gentle downpour that looks like it could continue for hours. This is proper countryside rain, the kind that soaks deep into the earth and fills the streams and makes everything green and growing. And there's something deeply satisfying about watching it from the safety of this cozy cottage, knowing that you have nowhere else to be and nothing else to do but rest and let the afternoon slip away in peaceful contentment. You pour your tea into the waiting cup, adding a splash of milk from a small jug and watching as the dark tea lightens to a perfect golden brown. The first sip is hot and comforting, the kind of simple pleasure that feels magnified by the setting and the weather, and you carry your cup back to the armchair by the fire, ready to settle in properly for a long, peaceful afternoon of rest. The armchair receives you like an old friend, its cushions giving beneath your weight in just the right way, neither too soft nor too firm but perfectly balanced for comfort. You sink back into its embrace and let your body relax completely, feeling the tension of the day beginning to melt away in the warmth of the fire. Your feet rest on a small embroidered footstool that someone has thoughtfully placed nearby, and you stretch your legs out and wiggle your toes in the warm socks, feeling utterly at ease. From this position, you have a perfect view of both the fire and the window, and you let your gaze drift between them as you sip your tea. The fire is mesmerizing in its constant motion, the flames flickering and dancing across the surface of the logs, finding pockets of sap that hiss and pop and send up small showers of sparks. The wood is well seasoned and burns cleanly, filling the room with its warm, slightly sweet scent, and the heat it produces is strong and steady, radiating outward in waves that you can feel on your face and hands. Outside the window, the rain continues its patient work, washing the stones of the cottage walls, dripping from the eaves, soaking into the thirsty garden soil. The sound it makes is wonderfully soothing, a white noise that fills your ears and seems to wrap around your mind, quieting thoughts and inviting rest. You can hear it pattering the leaves of the climbing roses, drumming on the flagstones of the path, gurgling in the downspouts that carry it away from the cottage roof. Your tea grows cooler as you drink it slowly, savouring each sip, and by the time you set the empty cup on the table beside your chair, you feel warm from the inside out, the combination of hot tea and fire having driven away any lingering chill from your earlier time outside. Your body settles more deeply into the chair, and you reach for a knitted throw that's draped over the chair's arm, pulling it across your lap and feeling its soft weight settle over your legs like a gentle hand. The throw is made of thick wool in shades of cream and pale blue, and it's clearly been made by hand, each stitch visible and slightly irregular, in that way that speaks of patient craftsmanship rather than machine production. It smells faintly of lavender, as if it's been stored with sachets of the dried flowers, and the scent mingles with the wood smoke and tea to create an olfactory symphony of comfort and peace. Your eyelids are beginning to feel heavy now, weighted down by warmth and comfort, and the general atmosphere of deep contentment that fills this cottage. The grandfather clock in the corner continues its steady tick-tock, and you find yourself breathing in rhythm with it. Long, slow breaths that fill your lungs completely and release just as slowly, each exhale carrying away a little more tension, a little more of the outside world, a little more of everything that isn't this perfect moment of rest. The fire has burned down slightly from its earlier vigor, settling into that ideal state where it no longer flames brightly but glows with intense heat. The logs covered in white ash, beneath which the wood burns red and steady. This is the perfect fire for a long afternoon of rest, requiring no tending or attention, just continuing its patient work of transformation, while providing constant warmth and the gentle crackling sounds that are so conducive to sleep. The rain shows no sign of stopping, and you're deeply glad of this. There's something wonderfully permission-giving about heavy rain. The way it makes staying inside feel not just acceptable but necessary. The way it removes any sense of obligation to be anywhere or do anything other than exactly what you're doing. The world beyond the cottage has been reduced to the simple binary of wet and dry, and you are emphatically on the dry side of that division, warm and comfortable and perfectly content. Your head has found the ideal position against the wing of the chair, and your neck relaxes completely, requiring no effort to hold your head upright. Your shoulders have dropped away from your ears, and your arms rest heavily on the chair's arms. Your hands loose and open in your lap beneath the throne. Even your face has softened, your jaw slack, your brow smooth. All the small tensions that accumulate during waking hours, dissolving in the warmth and peace of this sheltered place. The sounds around you have blended into a gentle symphony of rest. The rain on the roof, the fire crackling in its hearth, the clock ticking in its corner. All of these have woven themselves together into a lullaby that seems designed specifically to carry you into sleep. There are no harsh sounds here, no jarring interruptions, just this gentle background of natural and mechanical rhythms that speak of safety and shelter and the deep peace of being exactly where you're meant to be. Your breathing has slowed to match the pace of the rain, each breath as steady and patient as the water falling from the sky, and you can feel yourself drifting in that pleasant space between waking and sleeping, where thoughts become soft and dreamlike, where the boundary between inside and outside begins to blur, where you're aware of comfort and warmth but no longer actively thinking about them, just experiencing them as a general sense of perfect rightness. Time has lost its usual meaning here in the cottage, stretched and softened by the rain and the warmth, until it flows like honey, thick and slow. You might have been sitting here for minutes or hours, and it doesn't matter either way. The afternoon stretches ahead with no demands or deadlines. Just this endless peaceful now, where you can rest as deeply and as long as you need. The light in the room has grown dimmer as the afternoon progresses, the storm clouds outside blocking what little daylight remains. But the cottage doesn't grow dark. Instead, the lamplight and firelight seem to intensify, growing warmer and more golden, creating pools of gentle illumination that make the space feel even cozier and more protected. This is the perfect amount of light for rest, bright enough that the room feels welcoming rather than gloomy, but dim enough that your eyes can close without any sense that you're missing something. Your eyes do close now, drifting shut of their own accord, too heavy to keep open and with no reason to try. Behind your closed lids there is only warm darkness, peaceful and welcoming, and you sink into it gratefully, letting it embrace you as completely as the chair embraces your body, and the cottage embraces you in its shelter. The rain continues to fall, the fire continues to burn, and you continue to rest, held safe and warm, while the storm does its work outside and you do your work inside. The essential work of rest and restoration that can only happen when every need has been met and every worry has been set aside. In this deep state of relaxation, your mind begins to drift even further from conscious thought, descending through layers of awareness like a stone sinking slowly through water. The sounds around you become more distant, no longer distinct noises, but a general blanket of sound that wraps around you like the throw across your lap. Your body has released every last bit of tension, every muscle soft and loose, supported completely by the chair and requiring no effort to maintain any position. The cottage holds you through the deepening afternoon, its walls standing firm against the rain, its fire burning steadily in its hearth, its very timbers seeming to embrace you in their age and stability. Generations of people have sheltered here from storms, have sat by this fire and listened to this rain, and you're part of that long continuity now, taking your turn at rest in this place that has offered comfort to so many before you. Sleep comes so gradually that you don't notice the transition, just a deepening of the rest you're already experiencing, a gentle slide from drowsy awareness into true unconsciousness. Your breathing becomes even slower and deeper, your body completely still except for the slight rise and fall of your chest, and you sleep with the perfect peace of someone who is absolutely safe and absolutely comfortable. Hours pass in this deep sleep, time measured not by the clock, but by the slow progression of the afternoon into evening, by the gradual transformation of the fire from active flames to glowing embers, by the steady accumulation of rain in the garden puddles outside. The storm continues its work with patient thoroughness, soaking the countryside, filling the streams, replenishing the wells, performing the ancient and necessary task of bringing water to a thirsty world. Inside the cottage, everything remains constant and peaceful. The temperature stays perfectly balanced, warm enough for deep comfort, but not so warm that it becomes stifling or uncomfortable. The lamplight continues to glow steadily, requiring no attention or adjustment, and the fire burns its way slowly through the logs, releasing their stored energy in the form of gentle heat and occasional soft sounds as the wood settles and shifts in the hearth. Your sleep has descended to those profound depths where consciousness disappears entirely, and there is only the vast peaceful darkness of true rest. Your body performs its essential work of restoration without any direction from your waking mind, cells renewing themselves, systems processing and organizing, muscles releasing their accumulated tensions, bones and joints finding their natural alignment, free from the demands of gravity and posture. This is what sleep is truly for, this deep maintenance and renewal that can only happen when you surrender completely to rest. The cottage seems to participate in your sleep, its own ancient rhythm slowing to match yours. The wooden beams overhead expand and contract minutely with changes in temperature and humidity, creating small creaking sounds that speak of age and patience. The stone walls hold the warmth close, while keeping the cold and wet at bay, performing the essential function for which they were built so many generations ago. Everything in this space exists to shelter and protect, and it performs that role perfectly while you rest. Outside, the rain has eased slightly from its earlier intensity, settling into a gentler but no less steady fall that looks like it could continue through the night and into tomorrow. The garden has drunk its fill and more, the soil dark and saturated, the plants standing straighter and greener already from the thorough watering. The stone path runs with small rivulets, and the sound of water dripping from the eaves and running through the downspouts adds new notes to the symphony of the storm. But you're aware of none of this in your deep sleep, lost in dreams or in the deeper place beyond dreams, where there are no thoughts or images at all, just the pure rest of unconsciousness. Your face in sleep is utterly peaceful. All the lines and tensions of waking life smoothed away to reveal the simple innocence of true rest. Your breathing is so slow and even that each breath seems to last an eternity, and your heartbeat has slowed to its resting rhythm, steady and strong, and requiring no conscious attention. The throw across your lap has shifted slightly during your sleep, your body making small unconscious adjustments to maintain perfect comfort. And now it covers you more completely, from your waist down to your feet, creating a cocoon of warmth that holds the heat close to your body. Your hands have curled slightly in your lap, and your head has tilted just a bit to one side, finding an even better angle against the wing of the chair, and everything about your position speaks of complete relaxation and absolute comfort. The clock in the corner continues its faithful counting of the hours, its pendulum swinging back and forth with mechanical precision, marking time in the way of things that have been doing the same task for so long that it has become their entire purpose and identity. The ticking provides a steady heartbeat for the cottage, a reminder that time continues its flow even in this peaceful place that seems to exist outside the usual rush and hurry of the world. As evening deepens into night, the light outside fades completely, and the cottage becomes an island of warmth and light in the surrounding darkness. The rain continues, invisible now except where it catches the light from the windows, and the sound it makes on the roof takes on a different quality in the darkness. More intimate somehow, as if the cottage has drawn itself even closer around you, tightening its protective embrace. The fire has burned very low now, just a bed of glowing coals that radiate steady heat without any visible flames, and the light it casts is subtle and warm, just the faint orange glow of embers seen through their coating of white ash. But the heat remains strong and the cottage stays warm and comfortable, the thick walls and low ceiling holding the warmth close even as the night grows colder outside. Your sleep continues undisturbed through all these changes, too deep to be affected by the subtle shifts in light and sound. You are far below the surface now, in depths where nothing short of a significant disruption could call you back to waking, and no such disruption comes or will come. The cottage stands its faithful watch, the walls hold firm, the roof keeps out the weather, and you sleep on in absolute peace and absolute safety. In these deep hours of sleep, you are renewed and restored in ways that only such profound rest can accomplish. The stresses and strains of waking life are processed and released. The mind sorts through the experiences of recent days and files them away appropriately. The body heals its small damages and prepares itself for the challenges ahead. This is sleep's true gift, this deep restorative work that happens only when we surrender completely to rest and trust in our own body's ancient wisdom. The night progresses toward its deepest point, that hour in the small hours of morning, when even the night creatures have found their rest, and the world seems to hold its breath in anticipation of the eventual dawn. The rain continues its patient falling, though whether it's the same rain that began in the afternoon, or a new storm that has followed the first, you couldn't say and don't need to know. It's enough that it continues, that the sound goes on providing its gentle backdrop to your rest, that the world outside remains wet while you remain dry and warm. The cottage holds you through these hours with the same patient care it has provided to countless sleepers before you, its walls standing firm against whatever weather comes, its hearth warming the air, its very timbers seeming to embrace you in their accumulated years of shelter and protection. This is what houses are truly for, not just to keep out the rain, but to create spaces where rest is possible, where safety is assured, where the demands of the world can be set aside for a time, while body and mind take the restoration they need. Your sleep begins to lighten as the night moves toward morning, rising gradually through the layers of unconsciousness, like a diver ascending slowly through water, taking your time and letting the transition happen at its own natural pace. You're not yet awake, not yet even close to waking, but your sleep has become less profound, moving into those lighter stages where dreams might come in if they choose to, where you might shift position slightly or sigh in your sleep, where the sounds of the cottage and the rain might register faintly in your consciousness without actually waking you. The rain has eased to a gentle drizzle now, barely more than mist, and through the cottage windows the first hints of dawn are beginning to show, as the absolute black of night softens to dark grey. The storm has passed, or is passing, having done its work of soaking the earth and filling the streams and washing the world clean, and soon the morning will come with its fresh washed light and its smell of rain-soaked earth. But that is still some time away, and for now there is only this. Only sleep in this perfect shelter. Only the deep rest that you're taking in this cozy cottage, with the last of the rain falling gently outside and the embers still glowing warmly in the hearth. Rest on, sleep deeply. Let the remaining hours of darkness hold you safely. The cottage will watch over you until morning comes. And when you finally wake, it will be gently and naturally, ready to greet a new day after a night of perfect rest. For now though, sleep. Deep, peaceful, restorative sleep in this perfect sanctuary. The kind of sleep that heals and renews, that gives back what life has taken, that prepares you for whatever comes next. Sleep in the knowledge that you are completely safe, completely warm, completely protected from all the elements that rage outside these thick stone walls. The rain will stop eventually, the sun will rise, morning will come with all its demands and possibilities. But that is tomorrow's concern. Right now, in this eternal present moment, there is only sleep, only rest, only the deep peace of being exactly where you need to be, doing exactly what you need to do. Sleep.